checking in tonight. All right, and me, KN6QNJ. Okay, Neil, KL7HQR, are you ready to transmit a picture?
Yeah, I think I am. Let's give it a try and make sure that this is working okay and we don't have a problem with the YouTube, which I see just came alive there. So this would be PG120. PD120.
KL7HQR, a good copy here. I'll toss it to Bob for first comment.
Okay, Neil has to put this label at the bottom saying, where is this located? Well, I don't have a clue. It's obvious in a well-attended area, and it looks like, to me, it might be a merry-go-round or something like that somewhere, maybe at a fair. I think it's kind of too fancy to be Cal Expo, but it could be. Picture quality is real good. The colors came through, very few pixel pops. Anyway, that's all I can tell. I don't know. My guess was Cal Expo. It probably isn't.
Thanks, N6PGQ. Anders, NR6H.
Good reception here. See, do I have all the knobs turned? Yep, all right. Look, just checking here. Got a lot of audio paths going right now, but hopefully you can hear me. Yeah, good reception. A few dots here and there, not too much. Clearly some kind of fair. My first reaction was that maybe this is Pier 31 in San Francisco. Could that be it? That's my guess. NR6H, back to you.
Thanks, Anders. Alf, KN6PRD, and his wife are voting for Pier 39 with a 40% confidence. Good evening, Alf, and also Craig. Carol, KP4MD. I'm going to have to agree. I got a good copy here, just a few bits of pixelation in the sky, but I see in the lower right a woman wearing a down jacket and a gentleman just wearing a polo shirt. So that looks like San Francisco weather to me. Neil, KL7HQR.
Well, Anders missed by 8. He said 31. It's Pier 39. Yeah, boy, there's no fooling you guys, huh? Including off there. It was pretty good. It's the picture that I extracted from a video that I took when I took my Brazilian friend down there to Pier 39. Found a couple interesting things. That this carousel is the second carousel that they have there now, and it was inaugurated in 2008, and is fancy is a good word for it. It's a 2-story carousel. You don't see too many of those, and it was made in Italy, and all the animals were hand carved. Unfortunately, because of the extracting from a video, what you cannot see on top, there are many pictures depicting San Francisco famous spots. So good, everybody. But I'm glad that it went out, and apparently with no distortions like I had before. So it looks like that problem is solved. So thank you. Back to Nick.
Thanks, Neil, KL7HQR. This is James, KN6QNJ. Bob, you're next, N6PGQ.
Okay, this is PD 120. N6PGQ.
Excellent copy, Bob. That is a very cool sign. Anders, your turn to comment first.
Thank you. Got a good picture here, and very few pops. I got a repeater ID just underlining Howard's there. But it is authorized dealer of Howard's cam and speed equipment. So apparently cams are not part of the speed equipment. And I see a cartoon there of one of those super impractical cars, not something I want to go to Costco or Home Depot with. But other than that, very cool picture. It looks like it's I would guess, maybe a metal sign, or maybe not. But yeah, it looks like it's nailed to a white wall there. So yeah, that's what I can see. NR6H, back to net.
Thanks, Anders. Carol, KP4MD.
Let's see, is this working? Yeah, this is KP4MD. My picture you can see on YouTube. If any pixel pops, maybe just a handful, hardly visible. Very good solid copy. I didn't see that line of the repeater ID under Howard's, the word Howard's. What's been happening on this frequency is we have a bit of a little bit of tropo propagation, and there's a repeater down in the South Bay area on the same frequency, and it's possible, I think you might have picked them up, causing that little bit of interference, but I didn't see that at all. I have a completely clear, solid picture of a vintage sign for Howard's cams and speed equipment. So back to Net. This is KP4MD.
Thanks, Carol. This is James, K6QNJ. I don't have the, I have a clean shot too. I don't have any identifiers or any interference either. Neil, KL7HQR.
Yeah, KL7HQR. Same here. No interference. One of the best pictures as far as count of spots that I've ever got. Very, very even color. And well, Anders, I think that was it's a representation of one of the super Formula One cars, probably in the 50s. And no, going to Costco wouldn't do any good because you couldn't put anything in. Costco only sell things in big things, in big sizes. So, good copy, Bob, and wonder where this is located. Back to Net.
Thanks, Neil. Bob, I assume this is some kind of self-portrait. Can you tell us about it?
Yeah, well, my middle name isn't Howard. Anyway, as usual, my wife looks at me and says, you know, today's Wednesday and the Nets are tonight. And I kind of, stare at the ceiling. So we happened to have been at Mel's Diner in Roseville, and they have all these signs around. And so I took a picture of this one. Let me drop this. Howard's was a Southern California company that ground cams and sold speed equipment. Passed on to his son, and then it went off to Wisconsin, where they're still manufacturing cams. Obviously they aren't the same exact people that were doing it back many years ago. He had a couple of race cars, and he called them the Howard Cam Rattlers. And so anyway, this is a picture, sign actually, that was recreated by Bo's Neon Shop, which is off of Sunrise. And they did almost all of the pictures of the people in American Graffiti. They did all the car stuff, did the neon, did the signs, and provided it for lots of the Mel's Diners. So there it is.
Thanks, Bob, N6PGQ. Any other comments or questions before we move to Anders?
Good evening, Alpha India 6 Delta Golf. Sorry I'm late.
Alpha India 6 Delta Golf. Hello, Joel. Did you copy the last picture that Bob sent out?
Just in time. I got things working and started up. So I did receive it, and I agree. It's very clean, very few pops, and I don't think you really have anything to add otherwise. Wait a minute. No, I got a question. Okay, so what kind of car is this? He said formulas or something or another?
So I think that was Neil's attempt at humor. No, it's just a hot rod, something that you'd use probably on the lakes or maybe on a dirt track and drive it, but it's, obviously fictionalized.
Roger to that. Okay, something from the, so you take a 30s or 40s or body and really customize it and not much in the way of safety features, well, by modern standards anyway here. I mean, it does have a roll bar, and he is wearing a helmet, and I suppose that was being extra careful back then, but not nowadays.
Yeah, I don't know the exact era, but it'd be post-war.
Lots of history in you mentioned movies, so yeah, between all the different companies and cars and then movies, and then you got cross about movie cars or car movies. I'm sure there's lots of interesting tidbits that could be mentioned.
Joel, glad that you could join us. You'll go after Carol. Anders is next, then Carol, then you. Anders, NR6H. You ready?
I believe I am, and this is going to be a PD120.
Well, a really excellent picture. Very few pops. I'll pass it to Carol for comment.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I have to search for my start button on the audio repeater program to get my voice to stream on YouTube. Sometimes it's not on the foreground, so I had to look for that. Very nice picture here. I don't hardly see any pops either, peak pixels. Maybe, I don't know, maybe about 8 or 9 that I could see in a darker area, the lower half of the picture. Estrella, which is a Spanish word for star, dill chips, and it looks like potato chips with dill flavor. But that which would make me think that this came from a Spanish country, except that they wouldn't spell it out in English. So that's funny. And then the other products down there is something called Calles. It's Kalles maybe. I'm guessing, since this is something that that Anders is sharing, that it's something from Sweden. But a nice. I see the chip bag is propped up against the wall with an AC outlet there on the left side, N6NA SSTV, and the date 22/08/31. There seems to be a kind of a bar effect over the top third where it's really dark for a bit, and then there's a light bar below it and another dark bar. I don't know if that's some kind of an artifact, but otherwise a very nice clean picture. Back to net. This is KP for MD.
Thanks, Carol, KP4MD. This is James, KN6QNJ. Joel, AI6DG.
So I would guess we're at a kitchen. We're looking down at a countertop with a tile backing wall behind it and an American AC outlet. So this is in the U.S. It's not elsewhere. And yeah, I don't know what the products are, but we got a bag like of chips with Estrella. I don't recognize the brand. I don't recognize the product. Dill chips. Are they potato chips or pickle chips? Or that doesn't make sense. And then a couple of tubes underneath it, kind of like toothpaste tubes. But since one of them, since the callus has a picture of a guy eating like toast, I'm assuming it's some sort of bread spread. And the other one is Messinor. I have no idea what that would be. And I originally thought that 22/08/31 was a zip code, but nope, that's a date. Is that today? Yeah, that's today. And then it looks like we've got the edge of something on the extreme right, maybe a tablet or a computer or something. Can't quite tell. If it's a screen, it's got all blue. Back to net AI6. Oh, and I think it's underneath a cabinet. So that's probably up on top. It's like shadow from the kitchen lights interacting with whatever cabinet we're under. Back to net AI6DG.
Thanks, AI6DG. Neil, KL7HQR.
KL7HQR, again, fantastic copy. I agree with everybody, everybody's comments, with the Estrella and the dough chips, and again, a very no big pops. And the one thing that I noticed, I've been spending some time doing some videos and editing. I noticed that either Andrew's wife is going to be very upset with him because he painted N6NA SSTV and the date up on a wall. And I noticed also from the NR6H has a very nice slant. So you're doing a very good job of overlaying those fonts in such a way that they look like they're part of the picture. So I would like to learn how to do that myself. That's it.
Neil, I was thinking the exact same thing. I think, Anders, you're going to have to do a tutorial one day or one evening. Bob, N6PGQ.
Well, you guys have covered most of it, and you know how I am at guessing. I usually get it, about 180 degrees wrong. I almost was guessing that those tubes are like some kind of like squeeze cheese or something like that you would eat. So nice food and good quality, very few pixel pops. You can notice them in the gray at the bottom. So I don't know. I'm going to be interested to see what this is, and now I'm getting hungry. N6PGQ.
Thanks, Bob. Well, it's definitely Anders' lunch in the green bag, and then he's using the squeeze tubes as an antenna sealant. I'm sure of it. Anders, NR6H.
Well, you guys are tricky to fool. This is definitely, the tubes are definitely bread spreads, both of them. And the chips are chips. These are basically three products that the U.S. as a whole is missing out on. These are three Swedish delicacies, I would say. The dill chips is a complete mystery to me. Why we have every other kind of potato chips. Why don't we have chips that are flavored with dill? I mean, it's almost like pickled, but it's not really pickled. That's not really it. It's like dill, just fresh dill spread as a spice, or yes, they're in dill, and it's awesome. It's fantastic. It's the best kind of potato chips ever. I just don't get it why we can't find. I've looked everywhere in the U.S. I haven't, but they certainly don't have it in the stores I visit. So dill chips is a delicacy, definitely. So this is actually a bag. The Estrella brand is a Swedish brand, and it's something I brought back from Sweden last time I was there. Imagine what the weird things I pack in my bag, but it's light, so mostly air, so it's easy to get back. The tubes are even weirder. Short break. So let's start with the callus. Callus is it's actually creamed roe. It's cod roe. Sounds maybe not so fun, but it's a caviar basically. When Sweden joined the EU, they had to rename callus. It used to be called callus caviar, but the EU could not agree that this was something that could be called caviar. So they had to remove the word caviar, so now it's just callus. Kalle is a Swedish name for Carl, I guess, so kind of a slang for Carl. So that's Kalle, as you can see on the tube there, and he's eating a crisp bread, a slice of crisp bread with his caviar on it there. And it's really smoked cod roe. That's what it is. There's a little bit of sugar in it. It's absolutely delicious, but every American that I have ever had taste this said it was probably one of the worst things they ever seen. So I guess you have to grow up with it. But I always bring back a tube or two when I go to Sweden. And then finally, the Messmer. It says MESSMÖ, which is an O with two dots over it, and R. So that is a kind of a butter. And I guess the straight translation would be whey butter. So whey is the leftover when you do cheese, right? So when you churn the cheese, you get whey, and that fluid is what they use to make Messmer. So Messmer is it's actually good for you. It's better than butter. So it's got a kind of a sweet, zesty taste to it. It's got a lot of milk sugars in it, calcium, iron. It's really good for you. And great bread spread. So 3 products that the U.S. is definitely missing out on. And the final comment there on the right, that's a Google Home screen that is in our kitchen. That's our kitchen TV. And I'll be happy to have a little master class in how to apply perspective to fonts on a picture. Anytime. NR6H, back to Net.
NR6H, thank you. Very interesting. It sort of reminds me of when I lived in England and used to put Marmite on toast, which was I guess came from England. I'm sure somebody will know. And I survived on that. Carol, KP4MD, it's your turn.
Okay, first I want to thank Anders very much for the description of Swedish delicacies that we are missing out on. I tried caviar once, and that was, I guess, when I graduated college, the senior class had kind of a reception, and I was never really very much attracted to it. Anyhow, looks like interesting taste. Okay, this is going to be also PD 120.
KP4MD, excellent copy. It seems like you took a can of caviar and turned it into some sort of capacitating device, but I'll let Joel tell us what that is. Joel, go ahead, AI6DG.
Well, it's a filter of some kind. Probably decent high frequency, but not super high. I mean, I don't know, 440 or above, maybe to just 2 gigs. It's interesting looking at, okay, so we've got the two sides, left and right, in and out. You can see how you've got BNCs inside the little can, and you've got the wire going off the center conductor to some of the coils. So I'm assuming that that tap point is to match impedance. So you've got 3 coils between, going from the case of the can on the bottom up to, and those are adjustable caps up on top. The only thing I'm wondering is I don't see any interconnect between the left coil and the right coil. So, or is the case the interconnect? I'm definitely really curious, you know, what band, what kind of filter, what frequency, construction method, what's it used on. Interesting BNC connectors, no, not SMAs or any of the higher frequencies type of connectors. Not that BNCs aren't high frequency, but they're not typically used in microwave or type stuff. Okay. I probably made a fool of myself and said something stupid already, so I'll stop at that, and I look forward to the explanation. Back to Net AI6DG.
Well, Joel, your explanation is a lot better than mine. KN6QNJ moving to Neil, KL7HQR.
KL7HQR. Okay, first of all, quality of the picture today, I don't think we've had a night that, overall, that we had a picture quality like we've been having tonight. I was just wondering if this is not, if those squares, the grid square behind, I don't know the scale, but it could be about a meter per square, which makes about 3 feet per square. So that could be a very, very large can. So that definitely in that case would not be a high frequency, much UHF. It will be probably very low frequency. On the other hand, bringing it back to reality, looks like a really interesting device that I am very curious to know about, to tune a circuit or filters. That's Net.
Thanks, Neil. Bob, N6PGQ.
Well, I can't add too much. Obviously, the scale is small since those are BNC connectors on both ends. It looks to me like the coil on the right is of slightly larger diameter than the others, but it could be the angle of the picture. Good quality. I'm going to be interested to see what Carol explains in a couple of seconds. N6PGQ.
It really is excellent quality. I also notice on the bottom, I see both Carol's call sign and Anders' call sign. Anders NR6H. What is this? Do you know?
So actually, Carol was the one that taught me what that means. 595 means that she received me perfect last time, and so she was really quick to put my call sign into the picture before she sent it. So that's kind of what that means. And Carol, I think you can fill me in there on the more precise description of that, but that's how I interpreted it anyway. And as for the scale, I think the BNC plugs kind of gives away the scale here. So this is something in the order of an Altoid can, and I would kind of also see the indent in the lid there at the bottom of the picture. That would tell you that this is probably an Altoid can. And this is a cavity filter. Frequency, because of the coils, maybe it's coming down in frequency, so 440, or but I can't imagine that you can squeeze in going all the way down to 2 meters. So I would say, or even 220. So I would say that this is a 440 cavity filter. That's my guess. And our 6H back to net.
Very good. I always thought cavity filters had to be really big, but I'm interested to learn. Carol, KP4MD.
Okay, yeah, this is KP4MD. Very, very good, Anders. You hit the nail right on the head. This is designed for 222 megahertz, and it is in an Altoids can. It is a bandpass filter, and what you see there are three LC circuits. The coils connected to the bottom end of the coil, of course, is soldered right to the ground, to the can, and the top end is connected to a piston capacitor. Those piston capacitors have the screw. They're adjusted by this screw that goes in and out of a ceramic form. The screw itself is at ground potential. It's attached to the case there through a nut that has a direct connection to ground. And there's a ceramic form around that screw, and around that ceramic form you have a metal, a metallic type of layer that's a deposit on top of the ceramic. So the ceramic is the dielectric of the capacitor, and the value of the capacitor varies as you turn the screw in and out. So it's a pretty neat little device used for UHF type of circuits where you need small amounts of variable capacity. The wire there is just, I believe it's 12 or 14 American wire gauge wire that I pulled out of some Romex that I had, wound it around a screwdriver as a form, and got the things to resonate at 222 megahertz. And Joel was absolutely correct that the connections from the BNC connectors are at a low part of those two coils on the outside, which is trying to get an approximation of the impedance close to 50 ohms, because the top ends of those coils are going to be a high impedance, of course. The one thing that's missing in this picture is that I later added some gimmick capacitors, which was very simple to increase the coupling between each section. What I did was I soldered some hookup wire to the center piston capacitor, and I just put the ends of the hookup wires in proximity to the other piston capacitors, which is what's called a gimmick capacitor. It'll give you a coupling of maybe 1 or 2 picofarads, if that much. And adjusting those, the distance of those gimmick capacitors as well as the resonance of each of those circuits will give you varying amounts of sharpness of the bandpass curve, and varying amounts of insertion loss as well. So it was an interesting project, and it worked very well. So I thought I'd just share it. It's pretty nifty. So back to net. This is KP4MD.
Thanks, Carol. That's very, very impressive. Any questions for Carol before we move to Joel?
I don't see how the center coil and cap are working in the circuit, because it seems like it'd be doing a cap and coil from ground to ground.
Yeah, it works as a filter because it's going to present like a pretty close to 0 ohm impedance at the resonant frequency. So you're going to have a flow of the RF current peaking right at the resonant frequency on all of these. It's essentially a parallel. Well, I guess it's a series LC circuit, but they're actually parallel because the ground end of the coil and the ground end of the capacitor connected together. So you can imagine those as parallel LC circuits, and they're capacity coupled through the tops over.
Thank you, Carol. Any other questions for KP4MD?
did you come up with the idea in R6H?
Okay, yeah, this is not a very original idea. This is this is a type of circuit that a lot of radios use. They call these helical resonators as bandpass circuits in the front end of VHF and UHF receivers. That was the idea. It's not original. Over.
Thank you, Carol. Joel, you're up next to share a photo, AI6TG.
Was their tone?
Yeah, good tone.
And that was PD20. Sorry, I didn't say that to begin with.
That's okay. I timed it, and that's exactly how it timed out. Thanks, Joel. Hey, Neil, KL7HQR, you're first to comment.
Yes, KL7HQR. Again, a very good picture. A big room with an escalator going down on the left. I assume the one on the right coming back up. Transparent walls on the escalator. Big blue wall on the left side. And my first guess would be that this would be an airport, because it appears to me have some lines with people with luggage in there. Resolution is not the best in my copy. So we could be, looks like there is a display of some kind on the far wall up right, which could be anything. Anyway, big white room, big blue wall, good copy, escalators, and I would like to know the details. That's next.
Thanks, Neil. Bob, N6PGQ, and this is James, KN6QNJ.
Well, Neil got most of it. We're looking down the stairs in the middle of what looks like maybe a set of escalators. Looks like maybe on the back wall in the black rectangle might be an indicator of some kind, you know, arrivals or locations of things, and looks real interesting. I can't tell if the left side at the bottom is carpeted or what we're looking at. The quality is pretty good. More pixel pops than we've had earlier, but still good quality. N6 PGQ.
Thanks, Bob. NR6H, Anders.
So good reception, good colors, not very many pixel pops. Resolution makes the image suffer a little bit because it looks like all the people down there, they're almost like Minecraft, like blocky little figures. I happen to know a lot of details about where and what the details are here, so I am going to defer to Joel. NR6H, back to net.
Okay, thanks, Anders. Carol, KP4MD.
Okay, yeah, I'm just going to say it kind of looks like maybe some kind of a convention center. I have no idea where it is, but I'm guessing it's maybe someplace like Las Vegas because it's a pretty large scale. That's all. KP4MD. Otherwise, good copy.
Copy. And it almost looks like there's like people are lined up to go into a theater. Definitely looks like a convention center or a theater or something like that. Joel, can you tell us about it, AI6DG?
So this is the final escalators going down into the main lobby area of the Caesars Forum Convention Space in Las Vegas. And Caesars likes to name everything after Forum. So this is not the Forum shop. This is not the Forum Tower. This is not even at Caesars Resort. This is the Caesars Forum Convention Space that's across the street from the Caesars Resort behind Flamingo Harrah's. Very confusing to some people, I imagine. And this is actually just one of two escalators. So there's a walkway, and, you're basically walking inside a corridor from the Harrah's Link resorts. And then you go down one set of escalators, and then you go down another set of escalators. So that walkway is pretty high up, I guess, to get over the road and various other things that are in between. And this was at DEF CON, the convention a couple of weeks ago I went to, and this was actually the after-event party. So this was at like 11 p.m. on Sunday night, and the convention had ended at about, 4 or 5 or 6 in the afternoon. So the numbers of people are nowhere near as how many they had been earlier in the weekend. So you got there's a little sign on the left side, kind of middle, that actually has the DEF CON 30 logo on it. Not that you can tell unless you know what you're looking at. And there's a bar in front of that, so they were hotel that hosts DEF CON just loves that we buy so much liquor. So there's always bars around selling us liquor. And you've got people standing around. You got some tables down there that people are standing around. One interesting thing is that wall on the left, that's not a wall. That's a video screen playing video. So that entire wall on the left, that's all the blue and so forth, is one huge monster video screen. It's actually formed around a door. So that square thing kind of in the middle of it is a doorway, and the video that's playing was constructed to kind of take that into account. Apparently, you got all kinds of hoops and whistles you got to go through to present material for that, but DEF CON, it's very much not only a techie crowd, but also an artistic, arty crowd, and there's an artist called Ziebler that did the video presentation. It's an 18-minute video loop, kind of a history of DEF CON in history. It was actually fascinating to watch. And it takes into account the shape of the wall and the doorways, and it was really cool. Really high resolution. I think that was one of the biggest hurdles to go over, is to meet the high resolution requirement that Caesars had to put something on that wall. Really nice space. This Caesars Forum convention space is really nice. It's also really big. Lots of walking. You could exhaust yourself just walking around within one building, one room maybe, long hallways. Anyway, rambling. Time to pass the net. AI6DG.
Thank you, Joel. Any questions or comments before I throw up a picture?
KL7H2R. A couple questions. You keep on talking about DEFCON. Being military, DEFCON is defense condition in my time. So can you clarify that? And also, what's that black display on the back wall on top right that both Bob and myself got kind of confused about it?
DEFCON is the name of the convention. It's kind of a computer hacker security convention. If you want to know more, go to defcon.org. This was DEFCON 30, so it's been going for 30 years, and it's always been in Vegas. And I'm not sure what you're looking. What was the question about, a display or something? I mean, you describe where it is.
On the white wall in the very back, top right, that looks like something that Bob indicated could be some arrivals. It's a black screen with some white dots. And when you say DEFCON, it's like Delta Echo Foxtrot Con?
Correct. Echo, Foxtrot, Columbia, Oscar, November. Okay, so you're talking about a long rectangular sign that's right above the red emergency lights on the entrance exit doors in the background, between the doors and the windows above them?
Yes, well, it's the very top between the ceiling and whatever is below is the black with some horizontal lines and white dots.
Okay, I think you're talking. I think that's a window. I think that's a window, and the white dots are standard lights that are hanging in the space above, in that space. So they're not. Yeah, so they're in the hanging in the space between you and those windows that are in the background. So you've got. So if you follow the stairs straight down and go all the way across the floor, at the far back, you have a whole bunch of doors that go out to kind of an outdoor courtyard area. And above those doors, then you have a kind of a white wall or space with red dots and a rectangular sign of some kind. I don't know what the sign says. And above that, you have windows, but the windows are in a grid pattern with the white dots being, I believe, chandeliers in the space. Could they be reflections? Let me look at the original, because I do see that the resolution is a bit low. Yeah, I think those are chandeliers hanging from the ceiling.
Yes, thank you very much. That clarifies it. Back to net.
Okay, thanks, Joel. AI6DG, that's pretty interesting. This is KN6QNJ. My reaction to DEFCON was the same as Neil's, so I didn't know that that's what that convention was called. I'm going to test for tone, and maybe, Neil, will you let me know if it goes through? Stand by.
A good tone, no problem at all. Go ahead.
Okay, this is PD 120. right, Bob, N6PGQ, your turn to go first.
Okay, well, I will assume that this is not in Europe. And so what we see in the foreground is a ham radio with a, looks like a LIFEPO battery, probably Bioenno, to its left. And it looks like a 2-meter 440 mag mount antenna, perhaps on a table that's magnetic, but it doesn't look like it. It looks like it's plastic to me. And it's at the Walnut Grove Community Safety Center. So I don't know whether this was a event that was for emergency or just a outing for the weekend. N6PGQ.
Thanks, Bob. And let's say hi to N6GML, who's watching on YouTube, who's joined us. Anders, NR6H, comments about the photo?
So I definitely agree with Bob there. There is a Bioenno battery. I would guess like a 8 amp hour-ish size, something like that. We see an ST991, probably A, in the bottom right corner. It's set for 147195, so on the N6 ICW system. And we see a mag mount antenna that probably is missing its ground plane a little bit there, but the 147195 should be doable from Walnut Grove, I think, so that probably worked pretty good as it were. So somebody's out in the field doing some kind of fun, and I'd love to hear what this was all about. And R6H, back to you.
Thanks. Carol, KP4MD.
Okay, yeah, this is KP4MD. Yeah, I see the same picture. Nice, clear picture. Almost perfect with without any drop pixels. About maybe half a dozen, and I can see more over the side of the building there on the left. Walnut Grove Community Center, and some kind of a modern radio there in the foreground with what looks like a large LED or LCD screen. You've got the LiPo battery there, and I don't know. Being in Walnut Grove, that's where they have the really tall TV towers. Perhaps that very thin tower you can see way in the distance in the back may be one of the tall TV towers at 1,500 feet or something. I can't say, but otherwise it's a nice picture. Back to Nets, KP4MD.
Thanks, Carol. Joel, AI6DG.
Most things have already been said. I'm curious again what model it is and how can you read that display? I just have too much hash to see what model or frequency is on that. I noticed there's an Anderson power plug between the battery and the radio. No one's mentioned that. And there's some paperwork on the lower left corner. I don't know if someone's logging contacts or maybe they're giving ham tests, and that's paperwork for the VE to paperwork. It looks like it's. I hope it was a nice day, and definitely they have some nice shade there. I don't think you'd want to be out there doing this in the coming weekend. It looks like it's not a backyard; it's a front yard, but it looks like doesn't look like a community center, a safety center. It looks like someone's house, but can't really. Just looking down one side of a wall, so you can't really tell. But hope someone's having fun. Back to Net, AI6DG.
Thanks. Neil, KL7HQR.
KL7HQR. Not much else to add, except that I am at, as it was mentioned, Anders, you must have some fantastic eyes to be able to read the frequency and things like that. I cannot, although the picture is really, really good. The one thing that nobody mentioned is that the whole equipment is liquid cooled, I see a faucet with a proper hose there for the cooling of the equipment there on the left side. Back to that.
Oh, I'm glad you caught that, Neil. Yeah, it's liquid cooled. It's a Yaesu 991 and a 15 amp bio NO battery and a mag mount on a plastic table, but it still did reach the N6 ICW repeater. This was last Thursday. There was a county-wide drill simulating a flood event in the Delta, and the Sacramento County ARES team was dispatched as part of the drill. The participants of the drill did not know that a communications failure would be injected into their scenario, so we were set up outside for when they lost communication to call for supplies. So one of the things that we did was call the EOC and request sandbags, for example. So this was just a Sacramento County drill. In fact, some of you or all of you probably got an alert on your phone that this was going on. So I'm part of the Sac County ARES, and we were deployed. So it was a good training experience, KN6QNJ. Any other questions?
KL7HQR. Well, congratulations. Yes, I remember receiving the alert on the phone, and glad to know that we are in practice doing what we should be doing. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you. Well, it was the first, I think, big drill they've done since COVID, and I can tell you, I don't know if it was the fire chief or whoever was in charge there at Elk Grove had no idea what to do when he was told all communications was down. And, of course, we were just outside, and he was coached to finding us, and then he was fascinated. He had no idea ARES existed and its capabilities. It was a good experience. Any other comments or questions before I close the net? Anders, you are on the hook to teach us how to do graphics on our photos.
All right, we have to figure out how to do that over slow scan. That's going to take a while, but maybe we can find a different forum for that. But love to do it. NR6H, back to you.
Neil, did you say something? I stepped on you.
Yes, I did. Anders, also, last week, you presented a picture related to modifications to an antenna. I was really interested in that. I wonder if you can give me a call or send me my email is neil, Neil, Jimenez, Gimenez, at gmail.com. I'm okay on QRZ. If you can give me a call, or I would definitely like to follow up on that, as well as on this video thing.
Roger, Roger. I actually thought I did, but I will double check and make sure that that information is distributed. Thank you so much. Thanks for doing that, James, and 7312, NR6H.
Thanks, Anders. I think with that, I'm going to close the net. Thanks to all of you who participated. This was a fun net tonight in tonight's SSTV Net. We hope to see you again next Wednesday at 9 p.m. The net is officially closed at 10:10 p.m. This is James, Kilo November 6, Quebec November Juliet, wishing all of you a very good evening, and thanks to all who watched us live on YouTube. Have a good evening.
Yeah, okay, this is KP4MD. I did want to comment. A question that I did not answer was, how do you get the call sign into the template? One of the templates on MMS STV, one of the default templates, will capture the call sign of the last picture that you received, and that only works if the station is transmitting the FSK ID of their call sign. And the way they set that is on the setup, the options and setup for MMS STV. You click on the TX tab and make sure that you tick the box that says encode FSK ID, and also make sure that your call sign is typed into the template call sign box. And that sends out at the beginning of your transmission your call sign in FSK, and the other MMS STV decodes that and automatically populates the call sign of the picture that you are receiving. So that's an interesting thing. If you're not doing that, you might try that. KP4MD is now clear.
Thanks, Carol. I just checked. I do have that box checked, but I don't know how to put the words on the pictures. So that's probably, I'm starting from zero. So when Anders, or maybe you and Anders do the tutorial, keep that in mind.
Okay, yeah, you have to select one of the default templates, and it's one of the templates that has that wording in there, and it's got the that's another thing, customizing your templates the way you want. So we'll maybe address that in a future net. This is KP4MD clear.
QRZ. So not sure what's going on there. I can send it again. NR6H, clear.
Thanks, Anders. That was to Neil, right? Neil, did you copy? I know there was some doubling as well. Was somebody else speaking when Anders was speaking? Well, I remember the email, Anders, so I'm sure he'll find it, or if not, you could resend it, I guess.
I'll give him a call. We'll figure it out. I did see a reply, so thanks for that. And yeah, well, have a good one. Good net for tonight, and fun as always. Good to hear you, and hope to see you soon. NR6H, care.
Thanks, Anders. You too. KN6QNJ, clear.